And Israel's prime minister is convening a meeting with Ethiopian community leaders today in an attempt to quell the anger. We're now joined on the phone by SETH FRANTZMAN, the opinion page's editor for the Jerusalem Post, to discuss the matter. Seth, thank you for being with us this afternoon.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Seth, you've written extensively about divisions in Israeli society. Can you tell us a bit more about the Israeli-Ethiopian community, what's it's facing?
Well, I think the main issue is that it's people that were born in this country and people who serve in the army at one of the highest percentage rates in Israel. About 90%, 92% of the men go compared to about 75% of Jewish men in general. And most of them are finding their economic path blocked when they're leaving the army. And during their army service, around 40% of them are ending up in military prisons, usually for economic reasons, because conscript soldiers are only paid around $100 a month in Israel. So we see a community of young people out there protesting who are really frustrated about this society, and they also feel a racism from the police, and there has been reports in the last year of a whole number of brutal incidents in which people were beat on or attacked for kind of unprovoked reasons. And this latest video is just kind of a red flag to see a soldier pushing a bicycle and suddenly being thrown to the ground and bashed, which I think if his skin color had been different, I think most of us think it probably wouldn't have happened. And even if it would have happened, it's just symptomatic of an overall police brutality we see.
Prime Minister Netanyahu meeting with Ethiopian community leaders today. What do you think he can offer both immediately and in the long run for the community itself?
I don't think the Prime Minister himself can really do almost anything. I mean, it's just kind of a symbolic gesture, which is nice of him. I think it's more than President Obama has done, for instance, in relation to Baltimore. So that's great. But obviously, what needs to be done is someone has to go into these communities and listen to what some of these younger people are facing and ask serious questions. Why is it in one of the prisons that they surveyed that 30% of the people under the age of 18 are Ethiopian when they're only 2% in society? I mean, their incarceration rates are massively too high, and I think we need to ask serious questions about the army. I mean, the army is sort of a sacred cow in Israel, but why does the army send 14,000 soldiers to prison a year, of which many of them are Ethiopian? I mean, it's crazy. No other army in the world is doing something like that. So I think the Knesset needs to take this seriously, and I think, unfortunately, having lost Peninnah Tamano-Shata, who was a Yesh Atid Ethiopian MK, we don't exactly have a voice in the Knesset that is attuned to that community as much.
Of course, as you mentioned, racism is a topic that crosses borders. We've seen that in Baltimore over the past week. SETH FRANTZMAN from the Jerusalem Post, thank you very much for joining us this afternoon.